If you were to walk into a top-tier London office building, say 10 years ago, how would you measure its prestige?
Oh, that's easy. It was all about what was above ground or what was right under your feet.
Right, exactly. Seriously, think about it for a second. You walk through those heavy, oversized revolving doors.
The ones that always feel just a little bit too heavy to actually push.
Yeah, exactly, those. And what are you looking for to tell you that you've arrived at a truly elite corporate powerhouse? Back then, it was all about looking up or looking down.
You look up at the sheer, dizzying height of a massive glass atrium.
Taking in all that glorious wasted vertical space. Or you'd look down and feel the luxurious, plush thickness of the custom boardroom carpet under your shoes.
Maybe take note of the Italian marble on the reception desk.
I mean, that was the currency of corporate status. That was how a company projected power. But today,
Yeah.
if you want to find the ultimate status symbol in a modern commercial building, you don't look up to the penthouse.
And you definitely don't look at the carpet.
No, you have to go somewhere completely unexpected. You have to take the elevator down. You have to go into the basement.
It's a remarkable architectural and cultural pivot, honestly. The commercial basement used to be a complete afterthought.
Just a dark, concrete cavern, right?
Exactly. Reserved for massive HVAC units, humming electrical panels, and maybe a few dusty chain link storage cages where, I don't know, IT kept broken keyboards.
Utilitarian, hidden, and entirely unglamorous.
But now that exact same subterranean footprint is the front line of the battle for top talent, and it is fundamentally driving prime real estate valuation across the global market.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are exploring an incredibly fascinating framework called the Platinum Standard, London's premier cycle-friendly office hubs.
It's a great source document.
It really is. Our mission today is to unpack a massive, almost invisible shift in how we work and how we commute. We're going to explore how the end-of-trip facility—
The place where you park your bike, lock up your helmet, change your clothes.
Right, how that has effectively become the new corner office in terms of desirability and corporate prestige.
It provides such a brilliant lens through which to view the changing landscape of modern work. Because what we are really looking at is how physical office space is fundamentally evolving.
Not just to meet a new set of demands from employees, but from the macroeconomic realities of commercial real estate.
Exactly.
And look, if you are listening to this right now, this matters to you. Whether you are a department director trying to figure out how to lure your team back to the office for a few days a week without, sparking a full-blown revolt.
Or you are an employee who is actively dreading the prospect of a wet, miserable, crowded tube commute tomorrow morning.
Exactly. This deep dive reveals exactly how physical office spaces are being completely re-engineered specifically to win you over. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's start with the sheer scale of the shift, because the baseline data in the document really grounds this whole phenomenon. We're looking at a full-blown, two-wheeled revolution in major urban centers.
It's not a niche thing anymore.
Not at all. Active commuting is no longer a fringe activity. It's not just for a spandex-clad elite pushing themselves through the city streets at dawn.
Treating their commute like a stage of the Tour de France.
Exactly. Active commuting, so cycling, running, power walking, is now the preferred method of travel for a full 15% of the modern workforce.
15%. Now, on the surface, someone might hear 15% and think, well, okay, that's a decent minority, but it's not exactly a takeover.
Right, but you have to scale it up.
We really need to contextualize that number. Think about that 15% in the context of a massive London commercial footprint. If you have a skyscraper complex with 5,000 people working in it—
15% means you have 750 human beings arriving every single morning on bicycles.
750. That isn't a cute little HR perk anymore. That is a massive logistical challenge.
To put it in perspective, 750 bikes take up the equivalent footprint of a small car dealership.
Wow. Yeah, that really paints a picture.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that 15% figure represents a structural shift in how a building operates. Think about the infrastructure required to suddenly handle hundreds of people arriving under their own physical power.
They are arriving hot.
Yes, they are arriving potentially soaking wet from the unpredictable London weather, and they are carrying bulky, expensive equipment.
Accommodating these active commuters has been elevated far beyond a simple initiative. It is now a fundamental pillar of corporate ESG strategies, environmental, social, and governance.
Right, because companies have strict board-mandated carbon reduction targets now. Encouraging employees to bike to work is a highly visible, highly measurable way to attack Scope 3 emissions.
Which include employee commuting.
Exactly. But beyond the E in ESG, it's about the S, the social aspect. The end-of-trip facility has become a critical tool for talent retention in the fiercely competitive post-pandemic landscape.
And the post-pandemic landscape really is the catalyst for all of this, isn't it? The psychological shift we are seeing in the workforce is just undeniable.
Completely. 10 years ago, a company's responsibility to you basically started the moment you sat down at your desk and logged into the network.
The commute was entirely your problem.
100%. If you arrived stressed out because the central line was delayed or soaking wet because you got caught in a downpour walking from the station,
That was on you. You were expected to just deal with it, dry off in the bathroom, and get to work.
but now, companies are realizing they cannot just provide a desk, a monitor, and a coffee machine. They have to actively manage how an employee arrives and how they transition into their workday.
The leverage has shifted entirely.
It really has. For a couple of years, the global workforce proved unequivocally that they could be highly productive from their dining room tables. So if an employer is now demanding that someone spend an hour traveling to a physical location, the destination simply must seamlessly accommodate their preferences.
The commute has to be justified.
Exactly. And for that growing 15% of the workforce, their preference is a healthier, active lifestyle. If a corporate building makes it difficult, unpleasant, or insecure for them to bike to work,
They simply won't come in.
or worse for the employer, they will take their talents to a competing firm whose building does accommodate them. The physical space is now expected to manage an employee's mood and physical comfort from the very moment they cross the property line.
It's fascinating how the tolerance for a terrible commute has just evaporated. People simply refuse to start their day miserable anymore, which brings us to the actual physical spaces, the facilities themselves.
The prevailing standard is very explicit about this.
Tenants, so the multinational banks, the massive law firms, the tech giants renting these office spaces, they are absolutely no longer satisfied with just a metal bar bolted to a concrete wall in a damp alleyway.
The days of locking a 2,000-pound road bike to a rusty pipe next to the commercial dumpsters are definitively over.
So let's break down the anatomy of what the industry calls the gold standard, because getting this right requires some serious engineering.
It does.
It starts with a very specific baseline metric, 100-plus secure racks. Why that specific number?
100 secure racks is the recognized threshold where active travel transitions from a fringe amenity to a core building operation. It is the baseline for medium to large enterprises.
So if it's under 100,
If a developer only installs 20 racks, they are implicitly treating cycling as an afterthought. But once a facility crosses that 100 threshold, the developer is dedicating serious, highly valuable, revenue-generating square footage entirely to this activity.
it signals to the market that the building takes the commute seriously.
Exactly. And the word secure is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Yeah, we aren't talking about a padlock and a prayer anymore, are we?
Not at all. We are talking about high-value assets. Modern commuters are riding expensive carbon fiber road bikes, specialized hybrids, and high-end e-bikes that can easily cost upwards of £3,000 to £5,000.
Security is paramount.
This means dedicated CCTV coverage, biometric or fob access control that restricts entry only to registered building occupants, and often dedicated security personnel actually patrolling the basement.
Because the mental friction of leaving a valuable asset in a public space has to be completely eliminated.
Exactly. If you're worried about your bike all day, you aren't working effectively.
But parking the bike is just the entry ticket. Where this gets incredibly relatable and where the engineering really ramps up is what happens after you park, because you have to deal with yourself and your gear.
Right.
The next crucial item on the gold standard list is the implementation of drawing rooms. The industry rationale for this is brilliant, simply because, as the standard puts it, no one wants wet gear on their chair.
It sounds like a minor detail, but it addresses a massive cultural friction point within the open plan office.
We've all seen it. You've definitely been in a meeting where someone walks into a sleek, beautifully designed, climate-controlled office, and they drape a soaking wet, high-vis yellow cycling jacket over their expensive ergonomic Herman Miller chair.
Yes, and it slowly drips onto the carpet.
It smells like damp outdoors and exhaust fumes. It completely ruins the aesthetic of the space, and frankly, it's miserable for the person who has to put it back on at 5 o'clock.
So to combat this, these gold standard buildings are installing dedicated drawing rooms.
And to be clear, we aren't talking about a closet with a space heater in it.
No, the mechanical engineering required for a true commercial drying room is substantial. These spaces are equipped with industrial-grade dehumidifiers.
They require specialized HVAC integration, right? Yeah.
Exactly. To constantly cycle out humid air and pump in warm, dry air, they have to pull gallons of ambient moisture out of the environment every single hour.
Safely without creating a fire hazard or overtaxing the building's main climate control systems.
Precisely. You arrive dripping wet, you strip off the waterproofs, you hang them in this highly engineered room, and by the time you clock out, your gear is bone dry and warm.
It completely neutralizes the weather as an excuse not to commute, which flows perfectly into the next gold standard feature, ventilated lockers.
And again, this isn't your old high school gym locker.
Right. These use smart HVAC systems to actively combat odors.
The holistic approach here is really impressive. They are literally plumbing the individual locker banks into the building's central ventilation system.
So they are continuously extracting air through the compartments where people are storing their sweaty gym shoes, cycling shorts, and damp towels.
You are not just providing storage, you are actively managing the microenvironment around those items to maintain a premium, odor-free atmosphere in the changing rooms.
It's all about friction reduction.
Yeah.
And the final piece of the gold standard really drives that home, the maintenance station.
Yes.
This includes on-site pumps, heavy-duty tools, and stands for fixing punctures. They are essentially treating the corporate basement like a built-in Formula One pit stop.
It provides a massive psychological safety net. One of the primary barriers to active commuting, aside from the weather, is the fear of a mechanical failure.
What happens if a commuter hits a pothole and gets a flat tire on the way in?
Exactly. How are they going to get that bike home at the end of a long day? By providing a dedicated space with professional-grade floor pumps, hex keys, tire levers, and work stands, the building eliminates that specific anxiety.
It empowers the commuter to solve the problem on-site in a clean, well-lit environment.
It's huge for peace of mind.
Okay, so that is the gold standard. 100-plus secure racks, industrial drying rooms, actively ventilated lockers, and a fully stocked mechanic station. If a building offers that, they are in the top tier.
But the commercial real estate market is an arms race.
Always. Developers are constantly trying to outdo each other to capture the highest-paying tenants. So what pushes a facility beyond gold? What defines the best-in-class or platinum upgrade?
The platinum level is where we see infrastructure fundamentally altering the actual architecture and structural engineering of the building itself. The most significant differentiator is the implementation of dedicated cycle ramps.
Dedicated ramps, that is a profound leap from the gold standard.
It really is. A standard commercial building, even a very nice one, might require a cyclist to dismount, walk their bike through a side door, awkwardly hold open a fire door, or squeeze into a freight elevator.
The platinum standard mandates that the building was designed, or massively retrofitted, specifically for the uninterrupted flow of bicycle traffic.
That makes total sense. Have you ever watched someone try to wrestle a muddy bicycle through a corporate revolving door while 3 people in bespoke suits are trying to get out to grab a flat white?
It's a nightmare. It is incredibly awkward, it causes bottlenecks, and it makes the cyclist feel like a nuisance. The dedicated ramp changes the entire arrival sequence.
It completely dictates the spatial flow.
You swoop off the street, and instead of stopping, you glide down a smooth, perfectly lit, slip-resistant ramp straight into your dedicated secure zone. It's frictionless. You feel prioritized.
But beyond the ramps, the Platinum tier also identifies 2 specific hardware trends that developers are scrambling to accommodate. The first is the dramatic rise of cargo bike spaces. These are now considered essential for the modern family commuter.
Cargo bikes. Because the demographics of the active commuter have shifted drastically.
Absolutely, and the infrastructure has to reflect that. It's no longer just a single 25-year-old on a lightweight, razor-thin racing bike.
The commuter is very often a mid-career professional, a parent who just dropped 2 children off at nursery in a massive, heavy, elongated cargo bike.
And they now need a place to park a vehicle that is essentially the size of a small sofa before they head upstairs to their desk.
You cannot physically muscle a 50-kilo cargo bike into a standard vertical wall rack. It's impossible.
Exactly. You need dedicated, oversized, ground-level bays with wide turning radiuses. This shows a deep understanding of the workforce.
Right. If a company wants to retain its senior talent, the people who are often juggling childcare and the ones making crucial decisions for the business, the building has to accommodate the logistics of their entire morning routine.
Not just the final mile. If you don't provide cargo space, you are actively filtering out working parents from your active travel initiatives.
Wow, that's a really sharp point. The second hardware trend that Platinum facilities have to address is the explosion of the e-bike market. E-bikes are everywhere now.
Everywhere. But they present a unique set of challenges for a building manager.
They are vastly heavier, they are a massive theft target, and crucially, they need to be charged.
The integration of charging points requires significant electrical infrastructure and rigorous fire safety protocols. You are dealing with concentrated banks of high-capacity lithium-ion batteries.
The Platinum facility doesn't just store the e-bike. It actively prepares the machine for the journey home, safely managing the power draw and the thermal risks associated with charging dozens of batteries simultaneously in a subterranean environment.
It's a serious operational undertaking.
I really want you, the listener, to visualize this entire sequence. Imagine it's late November in London. It is dark, it is 4 degrees Celsius, and it is pouring rain.
Sounds lovely.
Classic London morning. You commute in on your e-bike, you arrive at the office, completely soaking wet. In a traditional building, this is the start of a terrible day.
You're shivering in an elevator.
Right. But in a Platinum facility, you don't awkwardly shuffle through the main marble lobby, dripping water everywhere. You glide down a dedicated, softly lit ramp directly into a secure, climate-controlled basement.
You park your heavy e-bike in a specialized, spacious bay and plug it in to charge.
You walk over to a warm, humming industrial drying room and hang up your wet gear. You put your damp street shoes into a locker that actively vacuums away the moisture.
You step into a pristine shower, put on a fresh outfit, and step into the elevator feeling completely refreshed, energized, and dry.
You know your bike is charging securely, and your clothes will be perfectly warm by 5 p.m. How does that fundamentally change your entire outlook on the workday?
It shifts the arrival at work from a point of high stress and friction to a point of recovery, preparation, and luxury. You start the workday in a significantly better psychological and physical state.
And the multinational corporations signing 10-year leases know exactly how valuable that psychological state is. Which brings us to a massive geographical shift happening in London real estate right now. We are witnessing the Battle of the Hubs.
The Battle of the Hubs, yes.
Historically, if you were a massive corporate entity, a global bank, an insurance giant, there was really only one place you wanted your headquarters to be: the City of London.
The traditional financial district has always held the undisputed crown for corporate prestige.
But the data shows that a new challenger has emerged, and it is carving out a massive slice of the premium commercial market: Paddington. Specifically, the W2 postcode.
The analysis of Paddington's evolution is deeply revealing about how modern urban planning intersects with commercial real estate valuation.
Paddington's transformation from a transit-heavy interchange to a premium commercial destination is nothing short of spectacular.
For decades, Paddington was largely viewed as a liminal space. It was a place you passed through.
You arrived on a Great Western train from Bristol, or you took the Heathrow Express in from the airport, and your primary goal was to get out of Paddington and into the West End or the city as quickly as possible.
It was a transient funnel, characterized by heavy traffic and tourist hotels.
It certainly wasn't a place you'd expect to find elite corporate headquarters, but the catalyst for change was massive infrastructure investment, specifically the arrival of the Elizabeth Line.
That high-speed rail connection obviously supercharged the area's connectivity to the rest of London.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The train line isn't the secret weapon for these new cycle-friendly office hubs. The secret weapon is water.
Water. It's the historic canal-side infrastructure.
Specifically, the Grand Union Canal towpath. This geographic feature provides a highly coveted, completely car-free route straight into the heart of the Paddington district.
Think about the history here. You have developers and massive corporations looking at a 200-year-old canal system.
Originally dug by hand to allow horse-drawn barges to haul coal and timber during the Industrial Revolution.
And they are realizing, wait a minute, this is the ultimate premium commuting artery for the 21st century.
It is a brilliant and highly lucrative repurposing of historical geography.
To understand why this is so valuable, we have to consider the alternative. The traditional commute into the City of London involves navigating incredibly dense, complex, and often dangerous medieval road networks.
A cyclist is sharing tight lanes with double-decker buses, erratic taxis, and heavy goods vehicles.
It requires intense concentration, and it is a high-stress environment. Paddington, however, leverages the canal towpath to offer a segregated, relatively tranquil, perfectly flat approach.
Tenants are actively searching for this specific ease of access. It completely rewrites the value map of London real estate.
It really does. The appeal of a commercial lease isn't just about the building itself anymore. It is directly tied to the specific physical route your employees have to take to get to the front door.
You can spend £50 million building the most beautiful, platinum standard basement in the world, right in the middle of a massive, terrifying traffic roundabout. But if your employees are too scared to bike there, all that investment is wasted.
Paddington has this built-in, serene superhighway delivering talent right to its doorstep.
It highlights how environmental factors entirely outside of a developer's immediate control, like the existence of a historic canal path, are profoundly influencing the valuation and desirability of the real estate they're building.
The safety and pleasantness of the route dictate the viability of the facility.
So let's actually look at these facilities in detail. We have incredible data here, an active commuter office finder that provides a side-by-side comparison of 9 premier properties across London.
And when you look at the raw numbers, the price per square foot, and the highly specific amenities listed, you really get a sense of how different sectors of the economy are approaching this.
The stark variation in amenities and pricing perfectly reflects the highly segmented nature of the London commercial real estate market.
Different industries have entirely different cultural expectations.
Let's start at the absolute apex of the market, the city elite. There is a property here that just stops you in your tracks. 22 Bishopsgate, located right in the heart of the city, postcode EC2N.
The average price, £1,100 per square foot.
£1,100 per square foot.
That is an astronomical figure. It represents the absolute pinnacle of the premium market. And the amenities listed must flawlessly justify that positioning to their target demographic.
Which consists primarily of elite financial institutions and global law firms.
Right. Look at how they justify it. For $1,100 a foot, they don't just say they have bike racks. The terminology is elevated.
They boast an active commuter park and a standout amenity, spa-quality showers.
We need to be clear about what that means. We aren't talking about a standard gym shower with a push-button timer and a generic foam soap dispenser on the wall.
No, we are talking about luxury materials, natural stone tile, premium grooming products, flattering ambient lighting, and complimentary towel service.
They are actively trying to emulate the experience of a 5-star hotel spa, specifically for the people arriving on bicycles.
It is a highly deliberate, highly calculated strategy.
When a developer is commanding £1,100 per square foot, the tenant, the employer, signing the lease needs to feel that every single square inch of the building reflects their prestige.
They are competing to attract investment bankers and senior partners who expect the absolute highest standard of living. If the shower feels cheap, the building feels cheap, and the lease cannot be justified.
Contrast that with another giant in the exact same financial district, City Point.
It's slightly less expensive at £950 per square foot, located in EC2Y.
They take a slightly different approach. And they don't necessarily lean completely into the spa aesthetic. Instead, they focus on sheer overwhelming volume and concierge service.
They have a staggering 400-plus bike racks. 400. Plus, they offer on-site dry cleaning alongside luxury towel services.
Think about the logistics of that. A commuter drops their bike in a secure bay, hands over their bespoke suit to a dedicated attendant to be dry cleaned and pressed for their client meeting the next day, and grabs a plush towel for their shower.
It is an incredibly service-oriented, frictionless experience designed for high-stress, time-poor professionals.
And rounding out the city, we have 100 Cannon Street at £820 per square foot, offering a dedicated cycle hub and fresh towels.
The financial district is clearly heavily invested in the luxury full-service aspect of the commute. But how does that compare to the tech sector?
Moving away from the traditional financial sector, it is illuminating to observe how the tech hubs approach this infrastructure.
The tech sector, centered around the Silicon Roundabout and Old Street, has historically pioneered a much more casual, egalitarian office culture.
Their active travel facilities reflect this. They are highly utilitarian, robust, and focused on capacity rather than pampering.
The numbers back that up. You have the White Collar Factory at Old Street Roundabout coming in at £920 per square foot. The featured amenity isn't a spa. It's simply listed as extensive racks.
It's very straightforward. They know their demographic. Tech workers heavily favor active transport, fixie bikes, and a no-nonsense approach, so the building just provides massive secure capacity.
Then there is the Bower, also an old street, at 880 pounds per square foot, which emphasizes a secure basement.
For the tech crowd, the priority seems to be hardcore security for their equipment and sheer scale, rather than the concierged, dry-cleaning atmosphere of the city.
It perfectly reflects the cultural differences between the sectors. The financial sector leans into luxury, hierarchy, and full-service concierge amenities, while the tech sector prioritizes sheer functionality, scale, and uncompromising security for high-value personal equipment.
Now let's look at the challengers, the Paddington properties in W2 that are leveraging that canal-side access we discussed.
Paddington Central is listed at 850 pounds per square foot. They offer 150-plus secure racks and those crucial drying rooms.
But then you look at Sheldon Square, slightly cheaper at 820 pounds per square foot, and you see them leaning heavily into the future of transport.
Their highlighted amenities are e-bike charging and luxury showers.
Sheldon Square is a prime example of future-proofing a real estate asset. By prioritizing dedicated, safe e-bike infrastructure, they are anticipating the continued rapid electrification of personal transport.
They recognize that the commuter of 2030 will likely be riding a battery-powered vehicle.
And then there's Merchant Square in Paddington, coming in at 780 pounds per square foot. This one is fascinating.
Their standout features are the cycle ramp entry and a mechanic station. I want to spend a second comparing this to the 1,100 pound per square foot experience at 22 Bishopsgate.
It's quite a contrast.
At 22 Bishopsgate, a firm is paying a massive, eye-watering premium for an active commuter park and spa-quality showers, an experience designed entirely around luxury, status, and pampering.
But at Merchant Square, for significantly less money per square foot, the focus is entirely on a seamless, frictionless journey and keeping the machine running.
You have that dedicated ramp to swoop in without stopping, and a mechanic station to fix a flat tire. It is a much more utilitarian, highly functional, almost industrial approach to the commute.
This raises a vital point about how different corporate tenants define value. A prestigious international law firm might gladly pay the 1,100-pound premium for the spa experience because it aligns perfectly with their brand, their client-facing image, and the expectations of their highly compensated partners.
Conversely, a rapidly growing creative agency, a software developer, or an engineering firm might view the highly functional ramp and mechanic approach of Merchant Square at 780 pounds per square foot as the far smarter, more practical investment for their specific company culture.
Both facilities meet the platinum standard, but they are serving fundamentally different philosophies of work.
It's not just about who can spend the most money. It's about flawlessly matching the facility's vibe to the culture of the workforce. And speaking of matching the facility to the environment, there is one final property on the list that acts as an outlier. And the strategy behind it is brilliant.
South Bank Central.
Located south of the river in SE1, priced at 800 pounds per square foot.
The South Bank Central example perfectly illustrates the tight integration of local geography and highly specific infrastructure planning.
Exactly. Just like Paddington leverages the Grand Union Canal, South Bank Central capitalizes on its proximity to the Thames Path.
The Thames Path is another incredible, largely traffic-free route running right along the river.
But what's truly unique here is their featured amenity, cargo bike bays.
It demonstrates a very sophisticated reading of the local commuter flows. The developers aren't just installing generic vertical racks and hoping for the best.
They have analyzed the demographic of people commuting along the river path.
They realized a significant portion of that specific traffic consists of parents doing morning nursery drop-offs on large cargo bikes before heading into the office.
Therefore, they designed the basement specifically to accommodate the turning radius and footprint of those massive bikes. It's hyper-targeted infrastructure.
So we've talked about the incredible amenities, we've discussed the spa showers, the structural ramps, the industrial drying rooms, and the hyper-targeted cargo bays.
We've talked about the astronomical prices, up to 1,100 pounds per square foot.
At this point, we have to ask the brutal, bottom-line corporate question. Is there a financial ROI, a return on investment on bike racks?
Is all of this massive capital expenditure on basement infrastructure actually making the developers, the landlords, and the tenants any actual money?
The data answers that question unequivocally. Absolutely. And it backs it up with a very powerful, highly trackable metric.
This is the number that really proves the whole thesis of the basement revolution. Offices in W2, that Paddington area, that have installed 100-plus secure racks are seeing a 12 to 15% higher daily occupancy rate than comparable buildings without them.
That 12 to 15% bump in daily occupancy is incredibly valuable right now. We have to view this through the lens of the current commercial real estate climate. We are currently in a market where grade A space is under pressure.
Let's clarify that for the listener. When the industry says grade A space is under pressure, what does that actually mean for the economics of a city?
It means that the highest quality, most expensive office buildings, the ones that traditionally never struggled to find tenants, are facing unprecedented challenges in attracting and retaining long-term corporate leases.
Because of the enduring popularity of hybrid work, companies are aggressively scrutinizing their real estate footprints.
If employees are only coming into the office 2 days a week, the company is going to downsize its lease at the earliest opportunity.
Therefore, for a commercial developer or a building owner, the metric of success is no longer simply getting a tenant to sign a 10-year lease.
It is ensuring that the tenant's employers actually use the building on a daily basis. Because if the building is full and vibrant, the tenant will renew the lease. If it is a ghost town, they will leave.
So what does this all mean? It means the developer's primary job is no longer just providing four walls and a roof. Their job is to create a gravitational pull that gets people out of their comfortable home offices.
Exactly. Facilities that actively encourage workers to show up are worth their weight in gold. A 15% increase in daily occupancy because of excellent end-of-trip facilities creates a cascade effect.
It means the building's vibrant. It means the ground floor coffee shops and retail spaces are busy and paying their rent.
It means the corporate tenant feels they're getting tangible value for their massive real estate expenditure, and most importantly, the long-term viability and valuation of the asset is secured.
And the financial benefits go even deeper than just daily occupancy rates. There is actual, measurable rental premium growth attached to this infrastructure.
Buildings that achieve a BREEAM Outstanding certification specifically for their cycle hubs are commanding higher rents.
BREEAM is a major sustainability and building quality certification, and hitting that outstanding tier is incredibly difficult.
Tenants are actively willing to pay more money per square foot for the privilege of being in a building that treats active commuters like VIPs and helps them hit their ESG targets.
Based on this economic reality, developers can no longer view bike racks as a nice-to-have afterthought, or simply a box to check to meet a local municipal zoning requirement.
It is no longer an ancillary feature to keep the local council happy. It is a direct driver of revenue, a driver of occupancy, and a core component of the building's capitalization rate and overall asset valuation.
If a new build does not have a platinum standard facility, it simply cannot charge top-tier rents.
It is the ultimate differentiator in a fiercely competitive, crowded market.
But this raises an important question, and it points to a looming crisis in commercial real estate. We are talking about highly specific, physically demanding infrastructure.
We are talking about dedicated ramps cutting through the structural foundation of a building. We are talking about industrial HVAC systems retrofitted for massive drying rooms. We are talking about significant square footage required for cargo bikes.
What happens to the older grade A buildings, the beautiful heritage-listed buildings in the city, or the older skyscrapers built in the 1980s that simply cannot physically retrofit a sprawling cycle park or punch a new access ramp through their load-bearing structural core?
That is a fascinating dilemma. If you own a beautiful historic building with an incredible facade, but your basement is the tiny damp bunker with low ceilings and zero ventilation, you are suddenly at a massive competitive disadvantage.
It doesn't matter how nice your boardroom carpet is. You literally cannot physically accommodate the 15% of the workforce that demands a platinum arrival experience.
Those older buildings might start seeing a serious brown discount, a significant drop in their market value because they are functionally obsolete for modern commuter demands.
They are going to have to get incredibly creative. Maybe they have to partner with nearby off-site dedicated mobility hubs, or they will simply lose their top-tier tenants to places like Paddington or the newer city towers that have this infrastructure built into the concrete from day one.
It will undoubtedly create a stark bifurcation in the commercial real estate market, and it will be based almost entirely on the quality of the subterranean infrastructure. The buildings that can adapt will thrive. The ones that cannot will face declining yields and an exodus of premium tenants.
It is a wild shift in corporate priorities. Let's briefly recap the incredible journey of this deep dive.
We covered a lot of ground.
We started by looking at the death of the old corporate status symbols, the towering glass atrium, and the plush boardroom carpet.
We explored the massive logistical reality of the 15% of the workforce demanding a better, healthier way to arrive, pushing active travel from a niche hobby to the absolute core of corporate ESG and talent retention strategies.
We walked through the demanding anatomy of the gold standard, the crucial baseline of 100-plus secure racks, the massive HVAC loads of industrial drying rooms, so no one has wet gear draped over their chair, the actively ventilated lockers, and the empowering maintenance stations.
We saw how developers push into the elite platinum tier with dedicated, structurally integrated ramps, hyper-targeted cargo bike bays, and the complex fire safety logistics of e-bike charging.
We mapped the Battle of the Hubs, seeing how Paddington ingeniously leveraged the 200-year-old Grand Union Canal to challenge the historic dominance of the city.
And finally, we saw the sheer, undeniable economic power driving all of this. A 12 to 15% bump in daily occupancy and genuine, measurable rental premiums for buildings that get this right.
Ranging from the 780-pound utilitarian efficiency of Merchant Square all the way up to the staggering 1,100-pound spa-quality luxury of 22 Bishopsgate.
The evolutions from a rusty metal bar on a wall to a sprawling, highly engineered active commuter park is truly a testament to how shifting human behavior dictates architectural reality.
And that leads to a final, lingering thought.
If we project this current trend forward, if developers are pouring millions of pounds into making the end-of-trip facility feel like a luxury spa or a high-end, exclusive cycling club, specifically to drive occupancy and bring people together, how long until the basement becomes the actual social and cultural heart of the company?
That's a profound shift in perspective.
Think about the sociology of that space. It is the one place in a corporate building where traditional hierarchies completely flatten out.
The CEO and the junior analyst are both down there at 8 in the morning.
They are both changing out of wet gear. They're both grabbing a towel. They might be helping each other fix a flat tire. It is a shared, egalitarian, physical experience that doesn't exist anywhere else in the corporate structure.
Could we soon see a future where employees commute to the office primarily for the community, the premium wellness facilities, and the lifestyle perks found in the basement?
Viewing the actual desk upstairs, the place where they sit and answer emails, as just an optional add-on to the day?
The basement as the main event and the office as the afterthought. That is an incredible thought to leave on. If you were listening to this, I want you to think about your own commute tomorrow morning.
Think about how your physical environment welcomes you or challenges you before you even open your laptop or pour your first coffee.
The world of work is changing from the ground up, literally, from the basement up. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We always appreciate you taking the time to explore these massive architectural and cultural shifts with us. Take a look at your own basement tomorrow, and we will catch you on the next exploration.